The statement of this man called Professor Usumbo, if you remember, Professor Usumbo was the governor of Edo State one time when Oshiomole fought and reclaimed his mandate. I think this man was working with Igbenedion, Lucky Igbenedion then. Of course, maybe he supported him. And he was sworn in. He just stayed, the man stayed, he didn't stay up to a year. I think about 8 months or 9 months or so. Oshiomole fought him vigorously and he reclaimed his mandate. The same man is coming out to say that the Nigerian constitution doesn't prescribe 25% win in FCT to be declared president. Of course, he's in APC. So Nigerians are saying, don't worry, just the same way you were removed after 8 months because the election was fraud and they remove you. Also, Tinubu himself will be removed. So Tinubu should not be listening to these people because he once lost his election. So if they are telling him nonsense, he ought to have known that the election that brought him as the governor of Edo State that year, okay, was just flawed. But they will still tell you, of course, he was a professor as at that time. He ought to have known better. But he didn't reject it. But at the end of the day, he was removed. And Nigerians are saying, or APC supporters are saying, don't listen to this man, no, because if he knew what he was doing, I'm sure he wouldn't have lost that election. So, Oshiomole, a professor of law and former governor of Edo State, Senator Osareme, don't be senator, I don't even know, Osumbo, has declared that no section in Nigeria's constitution provides that a presidential candidate must score 25% of the vote cast in the Federal Capital Territory before she or he can become president. Osumbo, in a statement at the weekend, declared that there was no controversy at all, as the constitution does not require a win in any particular place, the FCT inclusive. He explained that there is no section in our constitution that requires a presidential candidate to score 25% of the FCT. Some people are simply reading into the constitution what is not there. Okay. What the constitution states clearly in section 133 is that to be declared winner, the candidate must score at least 25% in 2/3 of 36 states of the Federation and FCT. It did not say 25% in the FCT, which is how the legal draftsman would have rendered it if that was the intention. Usubo, a two-term member of the Senate, really said, in fact, the constitution does not require a win in any particular place, the FCT inclusive. Ask any secondary school students who understands English comprehension the question, where does section 133 of the constitution require a candidate to score 25%? The only correct answer would be in 2/3 of the states of the Federation and FCT. Okay, I have read and listened to some lawyers dwell on the rule of interpretation of status and the use of the words, and the first rule of interpretation is that where the language of the statute is clear, as in this case, you do not need to belabor the issue of interpretation. 25% of 2/3 of the state and the FCT is clear enough. You do not need to go on a voyage of discovery to find that that is not missing. Osubo maintained that the language of the section is simple and straightforward. It is a known fact that during the National Sports Festival, the medal table shows that the 36 states and the FCT, when the INEC chairman invites resident electoral commissioners for a meeting, the reg for the Senate and the FCT attend. The same thing happens when the Inspector General of Police meets with commissioners of police from the state and the FCT. Simply put, the 36 states and the FCT go together. It is disingenuous to argue otherwise. Okay. Girl, we don't hear you. We don't hear you now. You are very correct. FCC cannot be more than every other state in Nigeria. Even a little child know about it. If the constitution states that a candidate must have 25% in FCT, That simple means that the 36 states are all useless and is people are useless. No, now you can't win only. You cannot only. You can't say that if we should just twisting this nonsense. You can't only. You cannot win only Abuja now and say that the rest state will not be won. That is not what they are saying. You guys are the ones twisting this in. I think I want to go with this man because that is his field. And recently we learned that the same 25% was used for Obasanjo and Buhari. Why is this one different? And like I really want to believe, the people I really want to believe, or the person I will believe is Mike Igini. Because he said it a day before. This man has been in, he worked with a INEC for over how many years before he retired. And he said it a day before that if that 25% is not there, forget about it. As if he knew what was to happen. As if he knew what was to happen that made him to say that. Supreme Court put you, Professor Sumbo, aside after some months of irregular and manipulated election that produced you as governor in Edo through Lucky Benedion. This time, the same court will put aside your principal and pronounce Obi's victory. What these people are also saying is that the constitution didn't even say you should score 25% in 24 states for you to be declared winner. I believe the most intellectual among them knows that they are only twisting the constitution. I believe, okay, before Obi number 3 can turn to number 1, has to prove his case to the Supreme Court beyond reasonable doubt, not just mere saying. But you and I know Obi is number 1. INEC and Tinubu rigged him down to number 3. You can't argue that. You can't argue that. So really pathetic for these people. Let them continue twisting. Okay, now we know now. If we're in the same environment, people just say, oh, let the courts take it. Because they cherry pick what they want to go right to do. Deaf minds will never understand, since that is the only condition that their lawyers predicate Obi's winning. Secondly, Professor who is the head of FCC, as we have governors of states, a king must not be a stranger where his tool is. No wonder you were driven from office by a Labour president. Okay. Though a professor of law, how do you interpret two persons and Usumbo are qualified to fill the vacant position in the company? Your position on this issue is laughable. Why do you even pick an issue out of many? Please read what your truly learned colleagues have written on this issue. Abuja, a must win is because all Nigerians are represented there. Why not so with states? What about the electoral empire? What is their rules and guidelines on election? Not heard. Sorry for Osubo, you are wrong in that a particular section. If Abuja is having the status of a state, there wouldn't be any need to include an Abuja. It would have just been 25% into third all states of the federation, full stop. Since Abuja is already a state, but since it is not, it's okay, it has to be specifically stated that can be likened to 3 girls and a boy. The beneficiaries of the evil structure will do everything to defend it. Osekome, Mike, and other lawyers know English more than the British, and so 25% from Abuja is a must before a president can be declared, because all ethnic groups are in Abuja but not found in other states. Arrogancy. Well, let's see how it goes.